Yeah, I'm doing a quick little video here, kind of like about my YouTube. It's kind of like I really have probably close to 300 music videos that I've done, but and really it's my first time, and I've actually tried to call them on the phone, other than me uploading my music videos or some of the stuff that I've had to say. And obviously it's a security issue already, and I wasn't real sure, and I wasn't going to worry about it, but it's kind of like hey, who's in control? Kind of like, is it the Wi-Fi manager or the webmaster? What the deal is? And the thing with this is that some of the videos, I mean, the quality is like I've been in and out of the hospital, okay, and some of the videos that I've made, it's kind of like I've been having to go through the emergency room, and it's it's affecting my weight and a lot of things. It was like leading me didn't have to go through this. So some of the videos that they're actually on there like right now are like like several minutes, maybe 10 minutes at the most before I actually had to call an ambulance because I already started. I mean, I could tell that was going to happen, but it's kind of like I was going to go ahead and just do whatever and finish something about it anyway. So yeah, and I felt that way when I got home too as well. So I kind of like really had to kind of slow it real down, real way lower than I personally would do it. But this is me personally. But anyway, so like I'd called and I haven't been able to get one word out of really anyone. It's kind of like protocol, and what dictates what protocol is, whether it's on or offline or internet protocol or language or programming protocol. If that's going to be an issue with what dictates what is involved with networking or not. Before, during live recording or post production or anything like that, because it's kind of like some of the stuff that I had quality issues. And it's kind of like even still, it's kind of like the thing with this is that shouldn't be an issue with like quality or processing speed. I mean, and I sit here and I look at some of the options as far as resolution goes. I mean, it presents like a variant between like 144. I'm assuming the P is an analog term normally associated with pixels in the screen, or what type of resolution is like being used on a screen. But here like for about the last 3 or 4 years, all the mobile phone manufacturers have been throwing that focus, and it's kind of like an option, like it's some sort of a degree of special effects, when I can't see anything about the highest standards as they set standard being an option of what an effect is, because to me that's a standard, not an option of like special effects, and it's like extremely frustrating. And and it's something about the autofocus, and that was really kind of like, again, one of my concerns about the phone is like, maybe if you want to really decide if there's going to be a difference between like measuring the density of light as compared to luminance, yeah, and in that way with how like just like regular camera lens and apertures and iris work, like the eye, as far as like what an autofocus might dictate, as far as like a set standard as a preset of a manufacturer, that would dictate whether or not, if like a ratio of like the screen, normally anywhere from like a 1.1, all the way to a full range, then below a 3.4, and then the anyway, so like anyway, I got to think about it, but anyway, yeah, so like the screen ratio, it's kind of like it's going to actually present an issue, whether if magnification is going to be some alternative to, in the event of an emergency, as an auto preset of like what autofocus is, and as a preset using density and like a screen ratio, what would be an automatic factor, the amount of light in that way, or what might be required to a larger scale and ratio as compared to maybe what focus might mean in that way, based upon the ratio of the screen chosen itself. And I was kind of like trying to look at it and see if that was like, I'm looking at it going like, what's going on, am I having an automatic focus think about magnification and like presets of ratio on the screen ratio that affecting resolution, although it presents like the variations and options like choosing resolution from like I think the minimum is like 144, then it goes to like I'm not even sure if it's like a 280, then it jumps up to like 480 and then to 720 and then like 1080, and there's kind of like all those options kind of like and then like it gets so ridiculously mosaic, and it's some of it's a direct relationship to like data processing, the speed of processing the data and what the network being like high speed or some obsolete factor, just like using the remains of maybe some complementary unlimited data, and just and in any case, I don't see that should be even a standard or an option or even a feature on any like mobile phone because it's sure not a practical application as far as I'm concerned when all that mosaic square digitized. I mean, like before, like analog converted over to digital, like, you normally see the diagonal lines as to the color barcode, that would normally be like when the television station, like, turning the entire television station on or off and signing in and out, or, what used to be somewhere in between business hours and not necessarily the, 365, 24/7 thing, So, in any case, yeah, so it's kind of like, somewhere between the conversion between analog to the digital. I mean, it became real apparent, that normally that the television, like during a storm, would break up into the mosaic little squares, and that was a for sure sign, that was an automatic digital issue with transmission and reception, normally associated with like the weather conditions. But in any case, that's what's happening on resolution. Not that it's a reception, and that's my point. It's a different issue, yet presents what might be what transmission or reception might be to weather as the difference between analog and digital affecting the screen that way as a condition of the weather as compared to something that's being thrown at resolution that presents the same appearance as what weather conditions would be with the signal breaking up as compared ultimately because of a weak signal as compared to resolutions and it's breaking up all digitized into a bunch of little squares in mosaic format, and it's really like it's giving the impression of like what weather would normally be with a digital signal strength as compared to like with the phone itself, with actually like live recording, not necessarily the editing really involved. It's just that it being presented as potentially an option that I can't really truthfully see anyone really even wanting to have to go through all that burdening, anguish, it's like, you got to be kidding me. So, I mean, it's kind of like, it's very frustrating because I've been in and out of the hospital and trying to, have some like good clean air, it's kind of like yeah, so anyway, so I'm trying to get back in I'm going to have to remove all the carpet out of my home because it meant a lot of stuff. But anyway, so like the last 13 months I've been, it's not like I planned, but it looks like I've been on a schedule, and it's kind of like, hey man, in any case, but yeah, it's been like once a month, pretty much guaranteed, almost like right at a week every single time for the last 13 months, going through ER about certain things about the blood thinner that seemed to be a thing about the circulation and other factors that might promote whether or not if duration had went a little bit beyond and caused maybe a more of a, that should have been like realized and recognized that maybe my own naivety to like simple allergens and truthfully that's part of it, but really not it compared to a lot of stuff. I mean, just like started happening like from like every direction. But anyway, yeah, so like I'm trying to like I have a good day and not have to, like continue like, like replace all my carpet in my home, or, you know, sterilize, my toilet, or, and it's not that I don't mind sterilizing my toilet. It's just that, come on, man. I mean, it's kind of like, it's kind of like having almost like a germ-free environment, just walking in and out of the house, So anyway, it's kind of like it's getting real frustrating that way. I feel like keeping the house clean had been almost become an insult, even trying to attempt continuing is how extremely frustrated it had gotten about something like that. Okay. So like I'm trying to I'm watching some of the videos that I made, because like Toto had that minefields CD, and I knew it existed, but it's like so much was going on back like in 1999. It's like I totally completely forgot about it, and like when I started like making music videos, like and like invested like in a lot of musical instruments, predominantly my drums, and vocal signal processors and power amps, and mixing. I mean, the entire thing for a music video recording studio, including the lighting. Okay, um, I mean, I've been putting quite a bit into it, really, and it's not that I want to upgrade. It's just that I already know really what is required, and what ultimately it's going to be anyway. But I've been doing really upgrades, and that's fine, that's cool, and all that. But I prefer just like get everything I need the first time. Kind of like, hey, I already know, kind of thing, But anyway, so so like the thing with it is that with some of the videos, it's kind of like it kind of like deviated as far as quality, and that was my thing about YouTube. Even something about the Google, and normally my perception of actually calling and talking, to like really anyone was like never ever a question that like I was talking to them. I mean, if it, ultimately sounded like it was a question. I mean, or a need to go beyond, just the telephone. I mean, I'm in the car, like on my way there. It's kind of like it removed any doubt about, any real communication on the phone, completely. But anyway, that really, wasn't a concern, for, but it's kind of like, you gotta be kidding me now, In any case, yeah, so that's like really not funny. So, anyway, the thing about YouTube is like, this is really like my first really year and a half, okay? And I hadn't even really put the time into it like I had planned on it, because of just trying to keep the house clean and not have an issue like with COVID ID-19, or any excuse. It's almost seemingly like it's an issue of like prepaid postage in the mailbox of like current residency. It's kind of like the degree above the entire banking system of like every money in the entire world at the World Bank is more so what that current resident looks like now, is that the degree has been achieved, and there's been like a little bit more than a national deficit available in closed caption for the hearing impaired, and all that great stuff about registered charity. Don't forget you like endorse your entire employment history, right? Don't be accused of not knowing whether you're a DBA or a database administrator, or somewhere like in space exploration, some sole proprietor that doesn't know what it means. Yeah, don't even have a qualified religious explanation, okay? Wow, man, it's like business law, right? Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, sure. In need of a solar panel, right? So anyway, yeah, for real. Anyway, um, so I'm trying. It's like, what time is it now? It's like almost 2 a.m. right now, and I'm in the hospital again. Okay, and this is the longest I've been in there. I think like the first week was like extremely frustrating. It's kind of like, where's the core? Where's the core? Automatic, blood thinner and heparin pump dispenser and drip, day and night, automatic 4-day and night drip, Well, anyway, I mean, like the first week, I mean, it's like none of that was happening. It's kind of like all I was doing was like getting a little frustrated about even being, coming out of ER with, it's not like it's new, okay? I mean, it's like, it's not like you're just like finding out, It's kind of like, yeah, it's still going to be like, heparin and blood thinner and a pump dispenser, okay? So like, what's really going on, okay? So anyway, so like that went on for like a week, and I mean, you have no idea how frustrating it was, but ultimately, me ordering my own food seemed to be ultimately in my room there, and getting upset that that's all that was going on. Not that I'm upset about it, it's just that really As of now, that's really not why I'm hospital, okay? Or to contest a admitting diagnosis going through ER that seems to be only because of personally what seems to be, treating symptoms as compared to the actual causation. And giving it that frame of like incubation, it's kind of like it's maturing, it's fermenting, it's gating, it's gating it's value, it's kind of like, come on, man. I mean, is that really what anyone wants to wait on in a hospital? Is the potency and value, to increase, like, hey man, like, we are an emergency room, okay? Not a live aid for, yeah, sure, yeah. Well, anyway, so that's great. So like, I'm trying to stay calm because it's like um, I mean, for like, anyway, I'm kind of like really frustrated about, having to like wait, and I'm having to like really do a major like, rearrange the furniture and get all my carpet up, and I'm having to do a lot of extra stuff that it's not that it wasn't going to get done. It's just that, it's been like, ridiculously, and it's kind of, hey, man, I can like, do it without the all of a sudden, hey, you needed to do it anyway, but. Yeah, so hey, oh, that's great. Yeah, it's amazing. So anyway, hopefully that'll get done real soon, and yeah, so like yeah, all the good stuff is like really to come, but it's kind of like the total minefields. I'd heard it, and I didn't even know what the name of the CD of Total was, but I'd heard it, but in '99, I was kind of like going through my things, kind of like I was just like trying so hard to be in the mood for like, like in my drums, and it's kind of like. It was just like one of those things, like, it's kind of like I'm trying so hard to be in the mood, it's kind of like, well, anyway, so I kind of like took a break, and, well, anyway, it's like years are going by, and I started like investing in all this equipment, and like Toto's like an automatic thing, throw in a compact disc and just start, playing my drums thing, Well, anyway, so like I started using it, really predominantly YouTube for my own YouTube.com channel at Wade, ASV, pretty PRIDY, yeah, for a portfolio. And I'm not quite, it's not that I'm actually set up for a response, but although I'm getting a response. And that's what the deal is about I can't get anyone that like really, have any like real communication about, the type of security, or if it's just seriously, ridiculously me talking in my own home or on my own phone, seemingly getting something on my own channel. It's kind of like, hey, or something that, and that is a concern, that I mean, ultimately, it's really not amusing to think that not being in control of what seemed to be an option, like between an editing studio, a YouTube studio, an editing suite that like wasn't even there when I like really started. And then it's like it's there, then it's not, then it needs to be published, then it doesn't need to be published. It's like, well, where's it at anyway? Maybe I should just like go through it. It's not that I'm editing. Really, when I record like me on the drums, I mean, I really don't have a need to edit. I mean, not one thing. I mean, it's just really the way it is. And I mean, like everything I practiced in the '80s, I mean, God, you gotta be kidding me. Edit. Anyway, for real, So like me doing all the stuff that like I did like way back, just as a standard for myself, editing anything. I mean, I'm not going to say that there's not a need. The thing with this is that really there's having to even edit anything with me just on my drums and just setting up, after, setting up my lighting and all that. I mean, just didn't it, So anyway, that's been kind of like, been, hey, like what's going on, So anyway, it's kind of like so that thing. So like, I tried to actually find someone that actually have something to say about whether or not a protocol is going to be a determination. If protocol and network protocol is really going to be distinguishing whether or not if networking is going to be some sort of issue of what might dictate what being provided somewhere in between Wi-Fi or signal strength in that way of what Wi-Fi normally suggests signal strength is, or set up as a featured as a free range, because I mean, I'm sure they can set their signal strength to considerably more than their own parking lot, because they for sure are receiving that signal from like all around the entire United States as a national thing. But the thing is that's what I'm saying. It's being received that way. But when it gets to like, providing all that freedom of the Wi-Fi as a standard for like every laptop has it as a standard, maintaining, some spectrum in that way of signal strength and maybe as well as like IP address or whatever the case may be as a free, complementary feature, more than likely involved a lot of the times with like employers or even, customers in a mall or, repetitious business in like bookstores. People, they just go there and just read books and use the laptop like at Starbucks and stuff like that, so anyway, so like, yeah, so, and then it gets into the, the data, like the mobile hotspot, and which is not necessarily Wi-Fi at all. And that's the thing about it, is that a lot of people, when Wi-Fi is involved, it's like the set standard. It's not really like a hotspot or a mobile hotspot. I mean, because I've actually tried to get, Wi-Fi, standards of actual participation of like the Wi-Fi at that national level to, maybe identify, the greatness of what having a right to assemble means in that way, as far as, I don't know if I would really call it managing other than, created for what electronics has to offer in that way, as far as like internet capability, normally associated with some sort of protocol, and whether if it's really going to be an issue online or offline or and my thing about the teleprompting, okay, is really, I mean, whether it's on or off, I mean, can relate the degree genius when he's off, or him or her that's offline, that might even decide if diction is actually being used in the way of teleprompting. I mean, is that maybe even the degree genius might even have a tough time if they can really even prove if they really even know if they're on or offline with the offline prompt command, or as compared to what legal media means to deposition, or even the old time constitutional law ratifying and codifying thing. And it's kind of like you got to be kidding me, so it's kind of like really a factor. It's like really, because sometimes it seems to be like the excuse sometimes that whether or not if you want to call teleprompting an issue of protocol, what that it means to like legal media as far as like being online, if it's a command prompt, and I've seen it and heard it both ways. Prompt command prompt, normally associated with offline application. Not that it's not being used, it's just that a practical application in that way. Really, I've got a little bit to looking into it before I really start talking about it. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my thing about it. Given the similarities of what is considered, whether that would be a protected or not protected issue, or an accusation of maybe just negligence based upon a lack of experience. So that was my kind of like thing about with the YouTube. It's kind of like me just having a tough time. I'm not having a tough time. It's just that it had me. It's just like ridiculously what used to be me just picking up the phone and starting talking. It's like, oh, okay, hey, thanks, have a good day, problem solved. It's kind of like, hey, for real, So anyway, so like I'm trying to have a normal thing about not having to contend with like videos, music videos that I'm uploading now. So in any case, yeah. So yeah, all right. So anyway, yeah, I thought I talked a little bit more than I planned to. It's already like 24 minutes and 33 seconds. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So so good. It's like a little past. It's like 2:06 a.m. in the morning now. So yeah, good. So yeah, all right. So hopefully I've called 611, and like every data provider, like every data provider has ultimately got into using their name and logo on phones of manufacturers that they actually sell, as well as, have the installment plan using their data. Okay? In any case, like I said, that that focus in resolution is like, it's kind of like, yeah, became me. I mean, it really, is it really an accusation of like, whether or not if high speed is being, experiencing, you've probably heard that thing on television, the test of the emergency broadcast system, that interviewing area, if there had been an actual emergency, you would have been told where to tune into. It's kind of like, you kidding me? Does anyone like really know? Can they even prove that if they think they know what that and where and when that all is? Just like, are you really sure? In the event of an actual emergency, you would have been told. So like all of a sudden you're not sure now, right? Oh yeah, sure, man. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so yeah, for real. Anyway, so like I'm trying to find some good information that will lead to some good communication with some YouTube execs. Yay, all right. Yeah, and get to Benjamin Franklin with the key and the clay thing going on in Philadelphia with like Fox News, man. Like you really got it going on Channel 29, right? Yeah, explaining some international electronic engineering thing about Benjamin Franklin and some greatness about Philadelphia. Yeah, and all that Independence Day and the celebration, 200-year celebration, like the American thing, right? Yeah, sure, man. So anyway, yeah, so like so anyway, yeah, I'm gonna take a break here and see if all this good stuff is just to be whether or not the data speed is. What I'm thinking, really, I have mobile high speed data, and I have mobile hotspot that is part of a data plan, and in addition, which is now what was already provided on the previous data plan was a slower 3G mobile hotspot data separate from my data plan for like the internet that my phone already provides, and it is not in need of a hotspot anyway, to get the 5G, but somewhere in between, me having 5G speed with all that, separate from my mobile hotspot, which was like an unlimited amount of 3G at slower speed. There was like some confusion in my phone whether or not if my data plan was identifying that was what was part of the data plan itself of being 5G, for the mobile hotspot as compared to some issue between like all the other information. Because the data plan came with a mobile hotspot of unlimited 3G at slower speed with a mobile hotspot. Yet everything that was not using any device other than phone itself, anything on my phone itself, is not in need of even a mobile hotspot period at all. Yet it has the online internet. It already has access to and doesn't need a mobile hotspot. So it's kind of like a hub, and they were like giving me like the ridiculous, like everyone's just finding out thing. You got to be kidding me. And it's kind of like I purchased a 5G high speed data plan. Like I have all that. Like I'm really not in need of a mobile hotspot just to get the high speed on my data plan. And likewise, and in addition to that, was an unlimited mobile hotspot that was actually included, as a mobile hotspot, not necessarily the internet, which is an automatic data that being provided for, can anyone say that? You kidding me? What else would high-speed data be, sold and purchased for? Anything other for an automatic, online internet, access automatically. Really? So that all that's like automatically on the data plan, and accessing the internet is already like accessing from the data plan purchased, which all that was like 5G, and in addition, to that one specific data plan. And unlimited, slower 3G speed. So somewhere in between actually already having what should not have been slow on just the regular data processing, which does not require a mobile hotspot. Somehow my mobile hotspot was somehow throwing some slowed. I mean, I didn't even have my Wi-Fi or, any roaming or any issue with data usage that might dictate whether or not if some transition of moving, internal storage to a SD card had been, some automatic mode thing of reaching a set warning level and just automatically, moving, the internal storage to an SD card. So, I mean, none of that was happening, okay? So it's kind of you gotta be kidding me, So it's kind of me having to explain that to anyone on 611 is seriously not convincing. Anyone who believes that they're just now finding out kind of thing on 611 and them acting like they don't know, it's just really not what it is, okay? Anyway, I'm gonna take a break, okay? Talk to you later.